Congratulations on your purchase of SpeechGear's Compadre Instant Translation Suite. Compadre removes the language barrier by instantly translating whatever you say, hear, read, write, or type. Compadre is truly an integrated suite. It starts with the Composer translation engine. You can then add communication modules to this engine, such as the Interact module for instant translation of conversations, the Document module for instant translation of Microsoft Word files or PowerPoint presentations, and there's even a communication module that lets you connect to professional interpreters anytime and anywhere that you have an internet connection. To complete your system, you then select one or more language modules, giving you instant bidirectional translation of over 30 languages. In this video, I'm going to focus on the Interact Communication module, and along the way, I'll also introduce you to the direct and remote language modules, plus the Live Interpreter module. There are additional instructional videos that show you how to use the other modules. These videos can be found by going to www.speechgear.com and clicking on the YouTube icon that is located in the upper right corner of the website. We've got a lot to cover, so let's jump right in and get going. Again, the main focus here is on the Interact module, so let me launch Interact by double-clicking on the icon, and I'll show you how it works. Interact has 5 main pages that are accessed through the icons at the top of your screen. The user page is where all of your user accounts are stored. The Translate page is where you'll see and hear translations of whatever is said, written, or typed. Use the Configure page to store your desired settings for your Interact module. I'll show you how to do this in a few moments. Maybe you've heard the phrase, "a picture is worth 1,000 words"? Well, the Compadre suite is all about communication, so we've put that into practice. The Visualize page allows you to use items like pictures, maps, and video clips with your Compadre system. And in the Help page, you'll find the user guide and additional instructional videos to tell you more about all the features contained in the Compadre suite, especially your Interact Communications module. Let's go over and start with the user page. The user page is where all your user accounts are located. Each user account stores all of your preferred settings. You can have as many user accounts as you like. Typically, you will have one for each person that will be using your system and one for each language pair. I've set up accounts for lots of languages, such as German, Mandarin Chinese, Italian, Finnish, and French. Here's my Spanish user account. To open up a user account, just double-click on the icon and all of your settings are automatically loaded and you're ready to start interacting. When I turn my microphone on, now everything that I say is instantly translated, displayed, and voiced aloud in Spanish.
Ahora todo que digo es traducido instantáneamente, demostrado y expresado en voz alta en español.
And likewise, anything that somebody says in Spanish is going to be instantly translated, displayed, and voiced aloud in English. I'll come back later and show you how to use the Translate page, but let's get back over to the user page and show you how you can create your own user accounts. To create a new user account, simply click on the Add button and Interact will step you through the process. When you're finished with each step, click on the Next button to continue. This is where you enter the name of the new user account. You can use any name that you want. Since I loan out my system to lots of people, I like putting my initials at the beginning of the name so that way I can easily find my accounts. And then I also include a description of how that account gets used. In this case, we'll be creating a user account for speaking Spanish with my coworker Jose, so I'm going to name it RDP-Jose. In this third step, you select the languages that you will be using. Each language module that you've purchased will show up in these drop-down boxes. In this case, I'm going to set up this user account where I'll be speaking English and the second person will be speaking Spanish. In this next step, you tell Interact which voice profiles should be included in your new user account. Interact automatically makes a voice profile for each person and continues to make adjustments as the person is speaking. The more a person talks, the better Interact becomes at understanding what they are saying. Here's a listing of the voice profiles that I have on my system. Since you'll be using your system quite often, you'll want to create your own voice profile. You'll only need to do this one time, and when you do, it'll show up in these lists. Just do it once, and your voice profile can be used in as many other user accounts as you'd like. Likewise, if it's possible for the other person to create their own voice profile, such as our coworker Jose, then have them do that. Otherwise, select the Untrained Voice Profile option. That's what I'll do here. To create your voice profile, simply click on the Add button and Interact steps you through the process. Enter a name for the voice profile, something like your initials. In this case, I'll name the profile JMR. Once you've done that, click on the OK button to continue. In this step, Interact checks to make sure that your computer's microphone is working. Go ahead and click on the setup icon. Interact checks to see which microphones are available and asks which one you want to use. Note that in most situations, that is everything except a quiet office environment, you'll need to use an external microphone. If you do not already have such a microphone, then please visit www.speechgear.com for help in selecting one that meets your needs. From the shown list, select the one that you'll be using and then click on the Next button. Interact continually monitors the volume level of your microphone and automatically makes adjustments for optimal speech recognition. It's still a good idea, though, whenever you're using Interact, to try and hold your microphone in the same position each time. Ideally, this is about 1 inch from the corner of your mouth. In this step, Interact is simply checking to see if your microphone is turned on. When you're ready, click on the Start Volume Check button and start reading the text that is displayed in the box. In this step, the computer listens to the sound of your voice and adjusts the volume setting of your microphone. When the computer has finished adjusting the volume, it beeps to signal that the process is complete. If you reach the end of this, the beep lets you know that your microphone is working and that you're ready to move on to the next step. Go ahead and click the Next button to continue. Having a high-quality microphone helps improve the accuracy of your translations. In this step, Interact measures the quality of your microphone to let you know if it's okay. Click the Start Quality Check button and then start talking. In this step, the computer checks the audio input from your sound system. Having high-quality audio input is very important for good speech recognition. Poor audio input will make it difficult or impossible for the program to recognize your speech accurately. When the computer is finished checking the audio quality, it beeps to signal that the test is complete. If you reach the end of the... Your microphone's rating is shown here. You want this number to be as large as possible. Ideally, this number should be at least 20 or above. Now that we've verified that our microphone is working, we're ready to move on to the next step of creating the voice profile. This takes about 5 minutes to complete. Click on the Train button to get started. Interact displays a sentence for you to read. The arrow points to the words that should be read out loud. I'll go ahead and do this right now. Welcome to General Training. Training is about to begin. Now that you've gotten the hang of it by reading the first 2 sentences, you're ready to select a story to read. You can choose any of these stories. In this case, I'll select the first one and start reading. Congratulations on your purchase of Interact. Interact is one of SpeechGear's many products that remove the language barrier by instantly translating whatever you see, hear, say, read, write, or type. In the following paragraphs, you'll learn a bit more about Interact and how to use its many features to communicate with others. Interact instantly translates conversations. I'll pause here to point out a few quick items. If you get stuck on a word, just click on the Skip button. And if you'd like to take a break while reading, click on the Pause button as I just did. I'll go ahead and finish reading this voice profile, but since I'm doing a live recording, I'll stop the recorder while I'm doing that, or otherwise you'd just be watching me read some text for the next 3 minutes or so. Whatever you say is translated and spoken out loud in your selected foreign language, and whatever is spoken in the able to understand a few of your words until it is able to do so. Well, it took me a little over 3 minutes to finish reading the paragraphs. Once you've done that, Interact will show you this message. Clicking OK tells Interact to analyze your voice. Congratulations, you've just finished creating your first user account. Go ahead and click on the Finish button, and this new account will be automatically loaded for you. When I click on the microphone, Interact will use my new voice profile and translate whatever I say into the language we selected, which in this case was Spanish. I just created a new user account.
Acabo de crear una nueva cuenta de usuario.
Now that you've created your first user account, creating additional user accounts takes about 30 seconds. Let's go back to the user page and I'll show you this. Let's say we want to do this for another coworker, in this case Jorge. You once again click on the Add button and follow the steps. Enter the name of this new account, and then select the languages that you want to use. This time, instead of clicking on the Add button to create a voice profile, simply select the voice profile that you just created from the drop-down list. And that's it. Your new account is finished and ready for you to use with Jorge. Creating this new user account took me about 30 seconds.
Crear esta nueva cuenta de usuario me tomó acerca de 30 segundos.
Well, that completes our overview of the user page and the instructions on how to set up a new user account. As a quick review, the user page is where all of your user accounts are stored. Each account remembers all of your preferred settings. Just double-click on the account you want to use, and your settings are then automatically loaded, and you're ready to start interacting. Remember that you can have as many user accounts as you like. Go ahead and set up an account for each person that will be using your Interact system, plus one for different languages, such as Spanish, Japanese, or Russian. Now that we've covered the user page and setting up new user accounts, let's move on to the Translate page. I'll go ahead and reload that first Spanish user account that we created, and we can start translating. The Translate page is where you'll spend the majority of your time when you're using Interact. This is where the translation happens. There are three boxes: the top, the middle, and the bottom. The top box is for English, the middle box for the second language, which in this case is Spanish, and the bottom box contains a transcript of your conversation. Again, as an English speaker, you'll be using the top and bottom boxes, and the person that's speaking the foreign language will be using the middle box. Note that you can increase the size of these text boxes by either clicking on the maximum size button located at the top here, or by clicking on the edge of the boxes and increasing the size to whatever you prefer. I'll go ahead and do that right now. Interact is designed with a one-click interface. It just takes a single click to tell Interact that you want to translate speech or typing or writing. To translate speech, I click on the microphone, and to translate text or writing, I click on the text box. The same applies for the reverse direction. All it takes is either a single click on the microphone or a single click in the text box. Let's start with instant translation of speech. I'll turn my microphone on by clicking on the icon, and when I do that, now everything that I'm saying is instantly transcribed and translated. The sound meter shows me that my microphone is working. The most recent phrase that I've said appears in the top box. And the bottom box contains an entire transcript of the conversation, which you can save for future reference by clicking on these icons. Later, I'll show you how to use the auto-translate feature, where you no longer need to click this button. I'll turn off the microphone again so I can show you more features. The transcript of your conversation also includes a synchronized voice recording of the person that was speaking. This way, in addition to reading the transcript, you can also hear a recording of what the person was saying at the time the transcript was generated. To do this, simply select the portion of the transcript that you want to hear, and then click on your right mouse button. And the bottom box contains an entire transcript of the conversation, which you can save for future reference by clicking on these icons. Later, I'll show you how to use the auto-translate feature, where you no longer need to click this button. So again, to hear a voice recording of the person that was speaking, first select the portion of the transcript that you're interested in hearing, and then click your right mouse button, and you'll hear the recording. As I previously mentioned, in addition to speech, Interact also instantly translates whatever you type. Plus, if you have a tablet PC, whatever you write. To instantly translate typing, a single click in the text box is all it takes. When you're done, simply click the Translate button, and everything that you've typed or written is instantly translated.
¿Cómo se siente usted?
Likewise, if the other person wants to type a phrase to translate, just click in the middle text box, and whatever they type or write is instantly translated and spoken out loud.
Very good.
And for translation of speech in the second language, in this case Spanish, all that's needed is a single click on that microphone. No entiendo inglés.
I do not understand English.
The right edge of the interface has icons that control each text box. The loudspeaker button voices aloud any text that is contained in the box.
I do not understand English.
And the trash can deletes any displayed text. These same icons are also used for the foreign language box.
No entiendo inglés.
For the bottom box, which is the transcription log, there are three buttons. The top one is for loading a transcription that you previously saved. The middle one is for saving your current transcription, and the bottom one deletes the current transcript, erasing any text that is in the box. Let's start with the middle one, which again saves the current transcription. To do this, double-click on the icon and then enter a name for the transcript. In this case, I'll simply call it My Transcription Log. You then choose how you want to save the file. This can be saved as an Interact log file, a plain text file, or a rich text file. The latter two options, plain or rich text files, are what you want if you're using Microsoft Word. In this case, I'll go ahead and save it as a rich text file. When you save the transcript as a Compadre log file, then later you can reload that file back into Interact by clicking on the Load Log button. For example, if you used Interact to transcribe a meeting or a conversation with a client, you can save the transcription and the synchronized voice recording, and later that evening, review the notes, and if you'd like, listen to portions of the meeting that you would like repeated. And just as was done in the top and middle boxes, the trash can erases all of the text that is contained in the box. Right in the center of the interface, you have some additional buttons. Let me enter some text to show you how these work. The phone number here at the office is 507-664-9123.
El número de teléfono aquí en la oficina es 507-664-9123.
As an aside, note that Interact automatically formatted the transcription so that it's easier for you to read. I didn't say the dashes in the phone number, but Interact is smart enough to realize that they should be inserted. The same applies for items like prices, where the $sign is automatically entered into your transcript. Let's get back to describing these icons in the center of the screen. These two buttons increase and decrease the font size. Click on this button to make the font size larger, and click on this one to make it smaller. This large button in the center is used whenever you are typing or writing text, and is also used when you are translating speech, but the auto-translate feature is turned off. Click this button for the translation or voice synthesis to occur. And this icon here is for the Live Interpreter module. Clicking on this button will connect you to a live interpreter for instant translation of over 190 spoken languages. When you click on this button, you'll see a number pad where you can enter your user account. Again, please note that you need to have purchased Compadre's Live Interpreter module for this feature to work. Well, that concludes our rather quick tour of the Translate page. Let's move on to the Configure page. The Configure page is where you can customize Interact specifically for your situation. Before I get started on this, let me resize the interface back to the default setting. There are 4 tabs in this page: User Options, Composer, Speech Recognition, and Voice Synthesis. Let's start with the User Options tab. In this video, I'm just giving you a quick tour, not every detail, so let me just point out a few items. Let's start with the Auto Translate feature. Use this feature when you want to translate continuous speech, such as a presentation in a workshop, a radio broadcast, or a religious service. With this feature turned on, you do not need to click the Translate button. Interact automatically translates whatever is being said. If you're in a situation where you want to always make sure that Interact has precisely captured your speech before generating the translation, then turn off this feature and instead use the manual mode. In this mode, you can first verify that Interact has precisely transcribed the speech, make any corrections if needed, and then when you click the Translate button, that sentence will be translated and entered into the transcription log. Note that you can always use your keyboard to edit the transcription, and that by checking this box, you can also use voice commands to make any desired changes. Let me go back to the Translate page to show you how this works. For example, I can say, "Today is Monday."
Hoy es el lunes.
And then change that by typing. Or I could have done that much quicker by using my voice. Let's go ahead and redo that, this time using my voice. Today is Monday. Select Monday. Tuesday. So that was much faster than typing, plus it gives me a hands-free solution where I don't need to use a keyboard or a touchscreen to make any changes. Again, to enable voice commands, select this button. Also, to see a listing of all available voice commands, select this button and then click on the Available Voice Commands link. If you use a lot of acronyms at work, then you can click on this button, and when somebody uses an acronym in their speech, it is automatically expanded for you into the actual words. So if they say TBD, then what you'll see in the transcript is "to be determined." Note that you need to enter these acronyms using the Composer Editor tool. The steps for doing this are described in the video titled "Using Interact's Keyword Feature." In many situations, the full duplex feature is nice to use. With this feature turned off, then Interact automatically disables the microphone whenever it is voicing aloud a translation. You need to wait until Interact is done voicing a translated phrase before you can speak a new one. To prevent feedback, leave full duplex off if you're in a situation where the microphone is close to your computer's audio speaker. When the full duplex feature is turned on, then Interact listens to what is being said at the same time it is voicing aloud the translated phrases. Here you do not have to wait for the translation to be spoken before you say your next phrase. Just keep speaking. Use the full duplex mode for continuous speech situations like when you're translating a presentation or a radio broadcast. In the bottom portion of the User tab, you can choose the amount of detail that you want in your transcript log. You'll probably want both the original and translated text in your transcript, but unless you're in public safety or medical or legal professions, you probably will not need the timestamp or a listing of the languages being spoken. Let's move on to the Composer tab. The Composer tab is used to enter your own vocabulary, such as acronyms, idioms, proper nouns, keywords, shortcuts, or any other terms. This tab also includes the Composer Editor tool that I previously mentioned. This is a powerful tool that allows you to customize Interact so it precisely supports your communication needs. Use of this tab is covered in detail in the user guide, which is located in the help page. Plus, the help page also includes a tutorial video on adding new vocabulary. Each time you start Interact, it's a good idea to go to this tab to make sure that your microphone is working properly. Also use this tab if you find that Interact is all of a sudden not working very well. For example, your microphone may have become unplugged. Just click on the microphone icon, and Interact will verify that your microphone is plugged in and working correctly. The reason there are two windows is that in some applications you may want to use two microphones with your Interact module, one for you and one for the other person. The last tab in the Configure page is for voice synthesis. You can choose the type of voice you want to use. For example, a male or a female voice, or if you purchased our remote module, you can even choose accents such as Canadian or Australian. Whatever best represents you as an individual. In this case, I'll go ahead and use a male voice.
You are now hearing a sample sentence.
You can also change the volume and cadence of the voice synthesis, making it slower,
You are now hearing a sample sentence.
or making it faster.
You are now hearing a sample sentence.
Note that if you're using Interact to voice out translations, you'll want to set the cadence to match that of the person who is speaking. For now, I'll just leave this at the default setting. There are many additional features within the Configure page. You can learn more about these by watching additional instructional videos or by reading the user guide. For now, let's move on to the visual page. You've perhaps heard the phrase, "a picture is worth 1,000 words." Interact is all about communication, so we've included the ability for you to use pictures as part of your communications. When you click on the Visualize tab, a menu opens up where you can select any picture or document on your computer or your computer network. In this case, I'll pick a map, but this could be any picture. Many times this is simply a clean drawing pad that you'll use to sketch out your ideas, just like you would in using a whiteboard. You can use Interact's tools to draw and annotate right on the pictures. Let me close the screen and we'll move on to the next page. Last but certainly not least is the Help page. When you click on this icon, you can view Interact's user guide. If you want, you can step through each chapter of this user guide, starting with the Welcome section and moving through the entire document. Note that if you go to the support page of SpeechGear's website, you can download a printable version of the user guide. Here's the web address for doing this. For assistance, you can also send an email to support@speechgear.com. In addition to reading the individual chapters, you can use the index to find information, such as the acronym expansion feature that I showed earlier in this video. Plus, you can search the user guide for items of interest. Here I've entered voice commands into the search box. This shows me a listing of all the sections in the user guide that discuss that item, and I can then click on the ones that are of most interest to me. Note that there is a down arrow just to the right of the Help page icon. There are several items included here. The Show Introductory video plays a quick video that tells people how Interact works. Note that this video is played in the language that you've loaded. So in this case, since I have a Spanish module loaded, then the video is played in Spanish. It's a quick way to let somebody else know how to interact. Let's jump to the launch tutorial video. When you select this, you'll see a list of 10 instructional videos that take you from getting started to advanced features such as Interact's hands-free interface and adding new vocabulary. Just click on any of these titles and the video is displayed. I'll go ahead and select Chapter 9, which gives some tips on using Interact.
Here are some useful tips to remember when you are using Interact. Think about what you would like to say before you speak. That way you won't pause in the middle of a sentence and possibly confuse Interact as to what you are saying. Try to speak in complete sentences. Avoid using slang or other confusing or extraneous words such as or you know. Speak in a normal conversational voice, not too fast or too loud. Speak in the same manner as you did.
And I'll stop that video for now, but please do take some time to view all these videos that again are located in the help page. Well, that completes this overview of Interact. Thanks for watching the videos. We stepped through each of the 5 main pages, going from the user page all the way through to the help page. To learn more about Interact and SpeechGear's entire suite of instant translation products, please visit our website, which is www.speechgear.com.